Hello everyone. Today we're going to tell you some random facts about St Giles Cathedral. How are you all? Hope you're all happy, healthy and well out there. Yep, today we are here at St Giles Cathedral. Obviously been in the news quite a lot lately as Her Majesty the Queen was laid to rest in there for about 24 hours. And it's everything's sort of getting back to normal here in Edinburgh, as you can see. But I thought, since some of you may be interested in the cathedral right now, we'd just tell you some random facts. Now I can't go in, it's still shut to the public, but doesn't mean we can't talk about it. So there you have the beauty that is St Giles Cathedral, and it's old, it's really old. In fact, there has been a site of worship, is maybe a better use of phrase, for 900 years on that site, and I think somewhere in the building of this there is still some remnants of the original, I'll say church, for lack of a better word, Kirk maybe, still inside this incredible beautiful building. So the current building that we can see here now was built in the 14th century, so that's like the 1300s. However, it did get extensions on it in the 16th century, but still, it's a fair age. It's a fair age, and although we can't have a look at them from here, they're always more impressive on the inside. You can see it's got some incredible stained glass windows, and the architecture on it is just beautiful. Now here's a nice random fact about it. It is called St Giles Cathedral. That is the name of it. You can see even on the brick outside here it says St Giles Cathedral. Yeah? See that right there? St Giles Cathedral. But it's not a cathedral. It has been a couple of times throughout its life, but a cathedral has to have a bishop in residence. That doesn't. So it's not technically a cathedral anymore. It's still a practicing house of worship. Still services go there on a Sunday, although it is also one of the top tourist attractions in town. It's incredibly well visited by people who come. But yeah, it's called St Giles Cathedral, but technically is not a cathedral anymore. Doesn't mean it won't be again in the future, and it definitely has been in the past. But right now, not really. Sometimes you do just enjoy looking at buildings like this. Isn't it incredible? It's a beautiful, beautiful building. Like I said, it has had some extensions in the 16th century here. I'm going to guess out the way? I don't know. I really don't know. But there used to be a graveyard around here as well, which is now a car park. I have mentioned this before. John Knox held sermons in here. There is still a statue of John Knox in there as well. And if you come round to the opposite side of it from the Royal Mile, so the back end of it, and you go to parking spot number 23, where that little square is right there, this is the burial spot of John Knox. The above stone marks the approximate site of the burial in St Giles graveyard of John Knox, the great Scottish divine who died the 24th of November 1572. So, round the back here. Also, look at that. Even from this side, you can tell that that's a beautiful, beautiful stained glass window. Isn't that incredible? But yeah, if you come around the back end here, in the car park, John Knox. Round the far end of it here as well, there's the Market Cross, just so you know where I am. This section right here, this bit right here, obviously we can't go into it, but it has a little chapel inside the cathedral called the Thistle Chapel. Look it up. It was built in early 1900s, if I remember correctly. It's a beautiful, beautiful wood carved chapel inside. And my favourite little part about it, and I'm sure you can find a picture, if I can find a picture I will post it, there is a carved angel playing the bagpipes inside this incredible little chapel, inside this incredible cathedral. Obviously, in more modern history of it, it incredibly recently held Her Majesty the Queen as she laid in rest there for 24 hours before travelling down to London. And just in case you're wondering why it's called St Giles Cathedral, that's because St Giles is the patron saint of Edinburgh. Learn something new every day, don't you? Now, up until the time of the Reformation, when Scotland turned from a Catholic to a Protestant nation, there was remains of St Giles inside the cathedral. Now that was a big thing at the time, to have, I don't want to say fragments, but yeah, remains, for lack of a better description, in cathedrals from the saints. However, during the Reformation, the bones went missing. It wasn't all of him by any means, it was like a couple of bones, a couple of pieces of it. But the bones went missing during the Reformation, and no one knows what happened to them. They're just gone. Lost to history. The oldest part of the building is said to be 4 pillars that are inside the centre that date back to 1100 and something. Let me see if I can remember or find out the date. 1124. However, there's no proof that they date back that far. It's said to date back that far, but yeah, no 100% proof that it goes as far back as that, those 4 pillars. The reason it's difficult to know if those 4 pillars go back that far, apart from the fact that that's a long time ago, there was a fire in 1385 and most of the building was destroyed and subsequently rebuilt. Most of the interior of the building date back to that, to 1385. So let's still just think about how long ago that is when you're stepping into that building. That the interior was built roughly about from 1385 for, let's say, 20 years onwards. I don't know how long it would take them to build a cathedral or a building like that then. I'm just picking a number out of my head. But think about how long ago that was. I mean, like I said, 900 odd years for the origins of there that they think are still there. It would be a small Romanesque kind of church that would be there first. And 900 years later, it is still a place of worship. I mean, look at that steeple up there. Is that not just incredible? Is that not just beautiful, the work that's gone on that? I mean, I know I've said this many times before, but we just don't build buildings like this anymore, with that sort of masonry work, with that sort of design for the thing up there that, you know, no one will ever get a close look at. Normally that would just be brickwork nowadays, if they even thought about building something like that. But it is just an incredible building. It goes by a second name as well. It goes by the High Kirk of Scotland. For good reason. Look at it. It is also identified as one of the main landmarks here in the Royal Mile. If you forget Holyrood Palace, you forget Edinburgh Castle at the top. Just for the actual mile itself, it is considered to be one of the focal landmarks, and itself adds an incredible view to the skyline that is the old town of Edinburgh. Like I said though, it is multi-faith, and that's because after the Reformation they split it into sections so that each people that were doing their faith in a separate way had a separate area. All those sections have been taken down now and it's all sort of one big open space, but they actually did section it off so that different ways of practicing their faith would be able to all happen inside the one building. Going back to talking about these stained glass windows here as well, for a non-Catholic church, not very common. In fact, after the Reformation, all of these were changed to clear glass, and it's only in the early 19th century that they started to get stained glass windows put on, and they were actually only allowed to do it, or at least they convinced them that they're allowed to do it, because most of them depict a story that's happening in the Bible. So these beautiful stained glass windows don't date back to the origins of the building. Probably the original stained glass windows during the Reformation were, as many churches round about Edinburgh, they were destroyed. In fact, there's only one church down the Cowgate that still has one stained glass window that dates to before the Reformation of Scotland, because like I said, they were all destroyed. So yeah, so these are a newer addition. On a personal note as well, my mum and dad used to say many times that my dad's line, so me, is a direct descendant from John Knox. Don't ask me where that comes from, don't ask me how they know that. I don't know. It's just one of those things that passes down in the family. We're direct descendants of John Knox. I'm sure there are many around the world, you know, that these things spread, family lines go all over the place. But if any of you out there around the world have been told that you're a direct descendant from John Knox, it's a tiny bit of DNA that we share there, apparently. But there's a statue in there of John Knox, and my mum used to always, I can't see it, but mum used to always say, you go in and you look at that statue of John Knox, it's a double of your dad, it's a double of your dad. And I'm like, Dad's not got a beard. She's like, imagine it without the beard. Wee impression of my mum there for you. So there you have just some random facts about St Giles Cathedral. There are many more, and without being able to go in and have a look, I don't even know if I'd be allowed to film. I don't know if you are allowed to film inside there, but I think probably a few would be interested in some of those facts. Not to mention, of course, that on the roof of there, Scarlet Witch and Vision had a fight with Thanos' bad boys, you know, so that happened as well. Very much in the world's eye over the past 3-4 days. And there's just some random facts, so you know, next time you're here, you can share those. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, as always, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. But till next time, bye humans.